Winter officially arrives, but who will spring for Springer? Diamond Diehards is on. Joe Rizzo here bringing you baseball along with the dog, Jeff Healy. This is Joe Rizzo. How are you tonight? It is Monday Night Live. We got a few things to cover for you tonight, or whenever it is for you. If you're watching live on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, Periscope, Facebook Live on the page, Facebook Live on the group, Twitch, YouTube, wherever you are. Mets versus Blue Jays for George Springer? I don't know. We're going to talk about that one. We're probably going to beat that dead horse. Luis Castillo, we'll talk about that. And the Angels making moves in the front office. That will be on the topic list tonight. Don't forget, FMS Graphics wants to remind you that it's the perfect time to order your holiday cards. You were supposed to send me updated copy, but you didn't. It's probably not perfect anymore, but why not take a few minutes to visit them at fmsgraphics.com. Ordering is easy, and you'll receive your order in a few days. That doesn't matter if it's holiday or not, because fmsgraphics.com is the place to visit for all of your printing and promotional product needs. Whenever you're hearing this, if you're coming up on Christmas, if you finished with Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever it is, FMS Graphics will be there for you now and later in February and March and April and whenever you are ready to have your printing and promotional needs met. Here are the ways to watch us, if you're watching us, that's great. And if you're listening to us on podcast and you would like to catch up with us and watch the live stream, you could do it. Facebook.com/DiamondDiehards. That's the Facebook page. There's also a Facebook group for Diamond Diehards. On Twitter and Instagram, we are at Diamond Diehards. We're not streaming on Instagram, but we have some kind of presence there, but the Twitter one's better. YouTube, we're there. We have a LinkedIn as well, not streaming there yet, but soon. And Twitch TV at Diamond Diehards. To listen to us, you can do an Uncle Paul where you window into the stream video here and there, and then you're like, oh, wait a minute. I got to go do something else. I got to go watch Matlock for a little while with Aunt Teresa. And let me get back. I'm going to listen to these guys on my power walk the next day. That's iTunes. And, if you follow Joe Rogan and Bill Simmons to Spotify, we're over there. Stitcher, everywhere you want. Go ahead, subscribe, and give us a good rating and, all that good stuff. And if you think you'd like to do business with us, then also hit us up on LinkedIn. I'm going to say LinkedIn. That would be a good one for business. So you can follow the dog on Twitter at Jeff Healy 8. That's the number 8. And you can follow me, Joe Rizzo, at Rear Naked Choke, all one word. And I have another podcast about mixed martial arts called Rear Naked Choke Radio. You can follow that at RNC Radio and do the same stuff I just said about subscribing on iTunes. You'll find it over there if you're into mixed martial arts. I think I got all that stuff out of the way. And once we move these big log jams out of the way, as I have my, if you're watching the video, you can see I have my handy dandy notebook. That's an homage to Dominic Rizzo, who loves to play We Just Got a Letter on the piano, and he'll probably be doing that shortly. He is producing along with Xavier Rizzo today. And Dominic also made the chimes for these shows electronically, so we thank him for that. We thank the boys for producing today. And now, without further ado, we got you through the first few minutes, and we bring in the dog for Veteran of the Day. And it's a cosmically good one.
Oh, nice lead-in, Riz. I love that one.
Oh,
love this one. Had some fun with this one. I decided to sort of open up the horizon here a little bit. I was watching The Mandalorian, like all the rest of you folks at home, loving it. And I don't know, one thing led to another. I clicked over something, and I saw that James Earl Jones was an Army veteran. I'm like, all right, I'm in. Let me click on this sucker. So James Earl Jones started pre-med in University of Michigan. So, and then dropped out of pre-med and somehow wound up in like Army ROTC. So does Army ROTC, gets commissioned in 1953. You might remember there was a little thing going on called the Korean War at that point in 1953. Got commissioned, went to his basic course, second lieutenant, I assume infantry in this one. He went up attending ranger school. I don't think it worked out too well, so again, didn't quite finish that one off. But got moved over to doing some cold weather training and stuff, getting ready to go over to Korea. Then Korean conflict wound up wrapping up. His superior officer said, "Hey, you know what? You're a pretty sharp guy, University of Michigan. Why don't you try this whole acting thing? If you don't doesn't work out for you, maybe you kind of come back back to the army." So James Earl Jones wound up hopping out of the army after Korea. They didn't need him as much anymore, and went off and did pretty well. And I was talking to Riz. I said, can you imagine with that voice? Can you imagine like James Earl Jones is like sitting there like telling some like some private in the motor pool is like, yeah, if you get this truck squared away, you can leave early, like 3:00. And like 3:30 or so, he comes strolling in, like stumbling out of the officers club or whatever. Probably was like, hey, Lieutenant Jones, we getting out of here? What? He goes, I have altered the deal. Pray I do not alter it further. And Brian's like, what are you gonna say? It's James Earl Jones done yet? Like, what are you gonna do? You're not gonna do anything. You're done at 5:00. That's the way it is. So there you go. So, shout out to the veteran of the day, Lieutenant James Earl Jones.
A potentially commanding officer with a
Exactly.
commanding
If
voice.
ever there is one.
commanding whatever he wants, and it was James Earl Jones.
Be like him, like Gary Thorne, like doing it back and forth. I will do this, then I will do this.
Good afternoon, people. Okay.
There we go.
Onto the baseball. Onto the baseball. 8 minutes later, or whatever. That's why you're here. That'll do it for today.
We could tie into the whole Field of Dreams. Right?
We could.
There you go. We can wrap it around as came back to baseball.
That was a different episode. One of our better listened to ones, by the way, right?
That was a good. That was. Hey, what? They're good. They're still supposed to do that, right?
Yeah.
They're supposed to play it on the field next year.
On my birthday.
On your birthday. Where are we going? I know where we're going.
I know.
We're vaccinating up. We're getting there.
Vaccine. I don't need a vaccine. I had the real thing, baby. Who needs a vaccine?
You get the variants now. I'm taking them all.
Yeah,
just like the Army. Just give me the double booster.
Shoot me up.
Yeah, I know. I got last month and you lost the paperwork. Just hit me again.
Cut me, Mick. Cut me.
That's what we do.
Yeah. So okay. Great
hot stove.
Great hot stove. Not much happening. Somebody made a good point somewhere, and whoever it was, I thank you. It was so combined, the owners have spent. I think. Oh, it was Dwayne. I think it was my buddy Dwayne Morris. Okay, so Dwayne, hopefully you're on and you're listening because he asked me about Springer today, and I'm like, dude, you can't just wait till 9:00. I'm like, I'll just just wait till 9:00, and we'll talk. I'll tell you everything you need to know about George Springer. Okay, but yeah, $200 million total dollars have been put out by the owners right now so far, apparently combined for all the free agents that have been out there, and it was 40, the point was that's not a lot of money. I'm like it's not a lot of money. I'm like, or that's bad. It's not good. It's going too slow. I'm like, well, yeah. If you're a player, it's going too slow, but if you're an owner or GM, you're like, I'm loving this pace. This is the perfect pace. What do we need? What do we need to rush it for? So it just means that, what is it, Dawg? It's a buyer's market, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. They sort of talk like everyone gets all hepped up for it, but honestly, most of the free agent stuff either happens like right at the winter meetings, right? So you get like a little bit of a spur there, or it tends actually to kind of wait to like sort of, and or more recently, it's been kind of longer and longer, I think, where it's kind of like, like mid-January, end January, even beginning of February before you really get the big name guys to go ahead and strike the deals on that one. So, I mean, I'm going to guess, like, again, from sort of the Met perspective, they did a couple of guys in, like now, like the Springers and Bauers, like the big targets out there. I'm going to guess a lot of it is just kind of like, hey, I've got the Mets obviously have interest. We'd love to hear back from you. If I'm Cohen, or Alderson, whatever, and Porter, I'm saying, hey, you know what? Go find a deal. And when you think you get a better deal than you're going to get from us, come back to us, and we'll make sure we sign the deal and get it done. Like that to me, if I'm Cohen, like that's the way I play it. Because right now, like we sort of talked before, like right now, Cohen almost is bidding against himself, right? I mean, if for Springer, to tie it back to yours, right? The rumor is sort of like it's It's the Blue Jays and the Mets. If I'm Cohen, okay, no, let's see what Toronto's going to pony up. And when you have a deal from Toronto and you're really serious about it, whatever, come back to me. Right? Until then, like, why if you're the Mets, why you sit there and say, okay, 5-125, boom, done. Right? I mean, who are you doing this against? You're doing it against Steve Cohen. Right? Why don't you say, you know what? When you come up with like 88 from Toronto, then come back to us and we'll do our 400 and we're done. And I think I'm gonna guess that's where they're at right now.
I'm giving them 4 for 88 then. Oh, you get? How about 4 for 88 from us? Oh,
wait, was that Canadian?
You're gonna go. You're gonna go to Toronto. Okay.
Oh, 80. Oh, 88 Canadian.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
You ever hear of GST and all the other taxes?
That's right.
That gets back to one of our other conversations about the equitable.
I know I didn't do that homework yet. You had me like trying to work out the whole like net cap thing.
Yeah, net cap versus gross cap.
Net
right?
cap versus gross. That's a good topic.
It is. Nobody's doing it. Nobody's doing it. Us, we could force that.
You know what? We already said it. Like baseball's starting in May, right? We break it right here.
Yeah.
That cap. That might be it.
We break news with logic. That's what we do here at Diamond Diehards.
We follow the data.
Look, the Blue Jays. I was thinking. I'm like, what kind of outlandish thing can I proclaim to our Diamond Diehards viewers and listeners that if the Blue Jays sign George Springer, I'll do this. And then I'm like, I don't have to do any of that crap. Like, I don't have to do that. Like, they're not signing him, okay? That report.
They do have the money coming off. I will say they have the capability.
Dawg. I understand that. And I respect Jeff Passan. Jeff Passan is a great reporter, and he reports that it's down to the Mets and the Blue Jays for Springer. First of all, it's not. It's down to the Mets versus themselves. The Blue Jays are not committing that type of money and that type of year term to a 31-year-old outfielder who may who may push them like into the playoffs, but might not push them further. He's not the icing on the cake, in which case, okay, then you can make the case for it. They don't know where they're playing their baseball games in 2021. Okay, and it's almost certainly, at least for a while, not going to be in their beautiful dome in Toronto with fans. Okay, so either they're rich beyond what we know and they just don't care about how they manage their money, but why would they do that? When you get down to the business aspect of this, it doesn't make any sense at all that they are a player for any big free agent, with the one possible exception of Bauer, just because he's a pitcher. And if they do sign him, it's not a good signing for them. It's a good signing for the Mets, but it's not a good signing for the Blue Jays. It's just not. So I think it's just all smokescreen. They're trying to say that they have this, second team involved, and I, listen, there's a lot of people that I respect, and I'm listening to them on, MLB radio, and they talk about the Blue Jays, and nobody's injecting logic into this. They don't know where they're playing their games. Yeah. They're not signing a 20-something million a year free agent. They're not. The first year is pissed away, and that might be your best year. Probably it's going to be your best year out of the guy. The first or the second year of the deal is going to be your best year out of the guy. I mean, listen, if they go and do it, then when they're looking for another GM in a year to clean up the mess, give Dawg and I a call. We come in as a team, and we'll fix the mess for him. But, I mean, he's got a better chance of signing with the Royals, dude. He's not signing with the Blue Jays. He's not.
That one. That seems a little good. The Royals might be a little extreme. I mean, I will say the Blue Jays, they do have a lot of money coming off. So they have payroll capacity, in my opinion. So that's the only thing I would say. It gives them a little bit of credibility within it. You made a great point. Like, if they get it, that doesn't get them the whole way. And like I said, they have real revenue concerns, like where the Mets do not have that, right? And if anything, like a Springer just gets them more money. Like the Blue Jays, they may get Springer and still wind up getting less money this year, right? I mean, who knows with them, right? So there's no like, oh, you're going to get this and this, like, and all of a sudden everything's going to be hunky dory. Um, you just simply don't have that. I mean, and again, same thing with Bauer. To me, I would argue even that's even more against the Bauer um, from a Blue Jay perspective. That you're just gonna get a guy who's gonna go out and like he's gonna make DeGrom like leaving games like down 2-1,
No,
right?
I don't
And
know
like
about that. I think their offensive core is very good already, which makes it to
yeah,
me like the reason why, if I'm gonna add something like they don't have like at least the Mets already have DeGrom, right? I mean they have
yeah,
they have a frontline starter. The Blue Jays don't have that. I mean, so
okay,
he slots in and he's the harder piece to get anyway. But I don't even think there's been
fair too.
talk of him going there. But I mean, if you're going to
Yeah,
spend your money, you could justify a longer deal for more money to him than you could a shorter deal for less money to Springer. Like you just
yeah,
again, and I don't want anybody to take this as me knocking Springer. Listen, the guy's destroyed my team, the Yankees, in the playoffs every year. So I have massive respect for the guy, but you just can't compare to me. The hardest thing to get is the guy at the front of the rotation. That's what Bauer is,
yeah.
or at least he represents you taking a shot at that. So that's what I want to take a shot at. And like I even say that for the Mets. The Mets have the money to get potentially both of those guys, and if I could get either one, I'm getting the pitcher. That's me. I've said it over and over. And there's a lot of arguments to be made the other way, and he's a perfect fit. But I'll take my swing and misses at the pitcher, even if I'm the Mets. So if I'm doing that for the Mets, could you imagine,
Yeah.
like, for the Blue Jays, I'm like, really? Like, let's not, why are we even talking? Like, yeah, I mean, if I can get Springer for like 15 or $18 million a year, then if I'm the Blue Jays, okay, then I'm in.
Yeah.
But not for what he's going to get. I mean,
Yeah.
it just doesn't make any sense. Like once you get to the 20 million a year mark for him for the Blue Jays, it doesn't make sense. What he's still going to be under
The payroll's like
contract.
57.
Yeah, he's still going to be under
I mean,
contract when you have to start paying the other guys that are coming along. And
yeah.
then you're already looking at Vlad Guerrero starts out as a third baseman. He's what is he like 21 and he's already moved over to first, which means he's by the time he's like 23, he's going to be basically a full-time DH. So now what are you going to
Yeah.
you're going to have it, which is fine, I mean, as long as he rakes, right? I mean, you'd much rather have him at least be able to play the field for half the time, and then you could move your DH around. But okay, if he's going to rake, then you could live with that. You're still going to have to pay him. Then you have an aging, Springer moving out of center field and into one of the corners, and not able to move him into the DH. So that becomes dead money, like down the line, and you're hamstringing that wonderful core of guys you have who may not, they may be ready to win next year. More likely, they're ready to win in like 2 or 3 years. And they're never going to be ready to win if you don't have frontline pitching. So go get the
Yeah.
pitcher. Like, go get the pitcher. Just go get him. Like, or go at least go after him if you have all this alleged money. And you're saying that your point is well taken that they have money coming off the payroll, but I mean, what about last year? Like when they're trying to
Yep.
like all these
Yep.
teams
The
got
revenue is a big question, right?
all these teams
Yeah.
got slaughtered revenue wise last year. So that's maybe
What did
them.
Steve Cohen do? He made a boatload of dough.
Yeah,
The
uh,
Fed bought his portfolio 20% up.
yeah. I mean,
Okay.
so that's for the Blue Jays, it's like almost like a sigh of relief, like mercy. Okay, if we stay like this for one more year, and things get back to normal, then we could really dive into it next year. Or you know what? If you like these guys so much, you could trade pennies on the dollar for a lot of these guys a year or two into their contracts anyway. If they were really considering you to begin with, right? Then they wouldn't void a deal. I mean, look, if you want to do that, you could go get Giancarlo Stanton from the Yankees and pay him out if you want a big bat. So
Yep.
they're not going to stop you
Arenado,
from doing that.
right? This
You
next
could
next guy out there, right?
yeah. Why not? Yeah, if you're going to do that, why? I mean, if you're the Blue Jays, why wouldn't you rather trade for
Yeah.
him? Like, doesn't he make more sense than Springer? That's a little more justifiable, and you already know
Right.
the fixed rate. You're not bidding against anybody, so and what do you have to give up to get him?
Got one
Probably,
year. See what happens. See what the world looks like.
yeah,
So you can extend him while you got him
yeah, if you want,
if he wants. Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know. Again, we're back to the same mantra. At some point, Dog, we're gonna have these, hundreds of thousands of listeners and viewers being like, "Wait, I went back into the archive and did these guys have a time machine? How did these guys know
Oh yeah.
everything?" It's What is it? December 21st right now when we're
Yep.
laying this down. December
That is true.
21st,
Hmm.
and our shots have been called pretty well. We've done a good
Not too
job.
shabby. Not too shabby.
Check the archives. It's
The McCann one's a pretty sharp one.
And listen, that was a great move because they gave him the year and the term, the years and the term that made so much sense that McCann was smart for signing it, and the Mets were smart for offering it.
Yep.
And if they waited, could they have gotten him for 3 years and 12 million a year, and saved that 4 million off the total? But
Whatever.
one less year. Who cares? Why not? Like, just take him at
Yeah.
4 and 10. Like, take
Yeah.
it.
Real Muto signed with someone else before. All of a sudden, you're not getting him for 440.
Yeah, yeah. It
I
was
mean, that's what it came down to.
way
Yeah.
smarter to get him there. Now
Yeah.
with Bauer, little different story. There's no number two that you're signing behind him. He's so far and away. Like, we made the arguments for the gap between Real Muto and McCann being very arguably small. In some ways, you could argue that he was the better guy over the last 2 years. You could. It's not an insane
Yeah.
argument.
Yeah.
With you got to do park adjustments and all that other stuff, and less workload versus projected workload, and one guy clearly like ascending, although he's a year older, McCann, and Realmuto descending slightly, even though he's a year younger, missed time with a hip. I mean, you could make that argument. Realmuto's better, but you could.
Yeah. They're
There's
right there.
if
Yeah.
you really wanted to make a case, you could make one. I think we
Yeah.
just kind of did. But with Bauer, it's who's the next guy? I mean, Tanaka. Uncle Paul doesn't want him. He doesn't even think he's in the same class. So I mean it. And I, as much as I love Tanaka, I mean Bauer's he's, to me, like I said, he looks like one of these guys that's going to be worth it. He just does. He's projecting along at this part of his career the way a lot of these other guys have that were really good prospects, and had some good years early,
Took a little bit. Yeah.
but flippered and floppered, and then eventually, like, they get into their 30s and they find it and they just go on a sick run, and they defy that sort of prime, going from the 27 to age 27 to age 31 years. I mean, he just looks like he's going to be that type of guy to me. Again, I
Yeah.
could be wrong. And he's a pitcher, so you always have the injury worry and the inconsistency worry. But I don't
Yeah.
know.
And that's where again, like the big market teams, right? Like that's where you can take more of a shot on that, right? If you're Toronto, that is your shot, right? If Trevor Bauer is not awesome, he's not an ace for you, then you're screwed. Right, you're done, right? I mean, that's what I used to always pine about is, like the Mets versus the Yankees, right? The Yankees could go and sign a guy like that historically, and if he didn't, and normally he would wind up overachieving anyway, because the Yankees were pretty good at finding good guys, frankly. But like, if it didn't work out, and occasionally it wouldn't, you just went to get the next guy, right? So like, he wound up being an OK 3 or 4 instead of the ace you thought he was going to be, right? And like life would go on, and like you could reload again. Whereas if you're a smaller market team, if that guy's not your ace, you're done. That's it. You got to wait for the contract to roll off, and you're just, you're hamstrung. You simply can't get the talent in to replace that. The Mets, again, like a Mets versus Toronto, the Mets have an opportunity to take that sort of risk, whereas Toronto doesn't really. Kind of like Boston was for a while too, and arguably LA is now. So, but
They are. They certainly are. He could end
so
up there. He could.
yeah,
Well, what? Okay. So let's talk. Let's segue a little bit here. Um, Bauer, I predicted way early. Um, I said either he goes to the Astros or he goes to the Angels. This was like in July, I
October.
think. I don't know. It was like baseball was still being played. So the Angels actually make news this week, and they did it in their front office. Perry Manasian is the GM, and one of the guys that he brought in as our pal, our Fordham colleague, and a friend of the show, Ray Montgomery, apparently has left his post as the VP and special assistant to David Stearns with the Brewers to go join the Angels front office, and that to me that's a big move. They also brought in Brian Parker, who was the Dodgers international cross checker, um, and they're bolstering their front office in Anaheim, and that's they're definitely relying a lot on the scouting backgrounds of some of the guys that they're bringing in, which goes with Manasian's history as well, formerly in the Blue Jays organization among others. So what does that mean? I mean, to me, look, you're trying to make moves here. What do the Angels need? Like most teams need pitching. So I would imagine that they're going to make a run at Bauer. And if you're the Mets, you really, really, really got to decide here. Do we want to go all in for Springer? Do we want to go all in for Bauer? And does getting one cost us the other? And if it does, then which guy do you want more? Which guy do you need more? You know where I stand.
Every, I
I
say where I stand.
yeah, but I feel like I've moved you off of Springer Mountain a little bit
Yeah,
with my making the case
I
for
still like
Bauer.
yeah, I still love the defense up the middle and strengthening the rest of the core around it. It's interesting. I think Alderson was very telling um, in like his initial press conference and stuff, and sort of talking about like how the Mets aren't a player away. They need more depth within the system. They don't have the young guys coming up at the AAA level. They got pretty good guys at single A and double A or whatnot at this point, but they need some more guys. And like I sort of wonder if like the McCann one was sort of a classic one, like the value play, and that does start to get more interesting. Like I think there's a little bit more optionality in the pitching market than there is in the center field market. Like I think it's kind of like you're either like I'm getting Springer or I'm going to take Bradley, and I got enough guys around this. I'll play Dom Smith in left, and I'll move on with it, and we're going to hit enough, and I can put a defense only guy really in center field, and it's going to be all right. And that's fine. that might be an okay way to sort of play it. I sort of get the sense more that I think they'd like to have a Springer in there. I think they like the experience in the playoffs and everything. I mean, the Mets have a little bit of it, but not certainly not the degree of a Springer. A center fielder, a captain kind of guy, really. I mean, someone like that and an everyday sort of player. I think the Mets really need that, and I think that's that would be sort of a signature move to me. And again, I'm still a little nervous on this, the somewhat shorter prove it on Bauer. Like to me he's a little too up and like I had no problem paying whatever for DeGrom. I think Bauer's got more volatility to it, and like I said, you could be 100% right that he's gonna be on that sort of late 30s, getting it and rolling track record. A, I'm not as sure of that from the Mets perspective, and B, I still sort of think I don't know. I think the Mets generally can kind of bring in like getting pitching is the exception of last year, which they imploded. but generally that's sort of something that has historically been a core strength in the Mets. And I just sort of get a sense like if you believe in Stroman, if you believe in Syndergaard, you believe in DeGrom, you've got enough top end guys. Like I'd rather save my bullets and get a bunch of like good 3 and 4 guys and say, you know what, the Mets just they gambled too much and went too many like swing guys like number 5 starters, and they hoped they would get 3 of them and 2 of them would work out, and it didn't. Like I think they need a couple of guys who are the 3 and 4 starters to kind of bridge you and be like that, that I said that the third or fourth guy in the rotation in the playoffs, right? It's like I'm perfectly fine walking in DeGrom, Syndergaard, Stroman in the playoffs and give me one more guy within there. And I think that's kind of where they need to be. And they need to be like consistent. And you know what? Give me a 3.5 ERA. You're out there for 160 innings, keeping us in games, and our guys will hit enough. Like, and if you can get 2 more guys like that for the similar sort of thing to back that other guy up, boom. That's what I think the Mets actually really need. Whereas I think going all in for DeGrom, I think it's, to me, in sort of like market parlance, it's a very high beta trade, where it's like if it works out, it's going to be awesome and you're going to run away with it because DeGrom and Bauer are just going to start blowing people away, and then it almost doesn't matter. But if he doesn't, all of a sudden it rapidly turns into like DeGrom, Stroman, Syndergaard's coming back, Bauer kind of sucks, and then who's your other guy? Oh, we don't have one. And then I think it could swiftly start to unravel. So, and if I'd rather take that strength up the middle and get the core defense. I'm strengthening the rest of my pitchers at the same time with the Springer versus, well, I guess in this game, in defense wise, it'll be strengthening my lineup, right? So assuming Bradley and Springer are both pretty good defenders, and you're going to sign one of those two, that I'd rather get that Springer in every day, and then give me another couple lower end starters versus Bradley and Bauer as a combo. I'll take Springer and 2 okay number 3 or 4 guys versus Bauer and Bradley if I'm the Mets.
Do you know he was once traded for Didi Gregorius?
I did not know that.
That was like way early on.
Yeah, let's say way back when.
December 11. We just had the 8-year anniversary of that trade. Indians traded first baseman Lars Anderson. I think he was a Boomer favorite. Didi Gregorius and Tony Sipp, the lefty reliever, to the Diamondbacks for Matt Albers, Trevor Bauer, and Brian Shaw. So the Indians did pretty well in that deal because the Diamondbacks didn't hold on to Gregorius long enough. They turned around and dealt him, and he ended up with the Yankees. And there were 3. I think that was a 3-way deal with the Tigers. Something. I don't know.
Good call.
Yeah. Great. So I'm looking at Bauer stuff, Dog. Look.
I know you love Bauer.
I think in 2017 he found it. Whatever it is, he found it. Now, it's not necessarily reflective in his WHIP from that season, which was 1.37. But his K rate started to exceed a strikeout per inning for the first time, and that's usually the tipping point for a lot of these guys. And once they get there, they don't often go back, or if they do, it becomes more the exception than the rule. So he comes out in the full season after in 2018, and his WHIP is 109, and he strikes out 221 in 175 innings. 134 hits. He's hard to hit. That's 9 homers allowed. Not bad. The next year he has the aberration a little bit but that's the year he gets traded, right? He goes from the Indians to the Reds, and clocks in a career high 213 innings, and his WHIP goes still to 125, which is not horrible. It's not where you'd want that guy to be. But and he also gets a little bit of a homer problem that year, giving up 34 and 213 innings. But again, 253 Ks.
Too, though, right?
Yeah. 253 Ks. So that's a nice number there. And then last year, it's the truncated season, but he's well on his way. Settled in Cincinnati. 73 innings, he strikes out 100. His WHIP is 079. And the 9 homers, so the homer rate went way down. Of course, it's not a full season, but he ends up with a Cy Young asterisk. I don't know. So you look at overall the last 3 years, and the guy who was putting up the 137, the 131, the 131, the 138 WHIP per year, that guy looks like he's long gone. That it looks like we just have a much better version of Trevor Bauer now. So again, I would be surprised if this guy regressed. I mean, I could be wrong, but
Is say a 1-1 whip? Is that good enough?
uh, yeah, probably. I mean,
Well,
he,
if you sign him for whatever,
if I mean if
four
that's
100,
if that's his
110 or something.
if that's his the lower part of his baseline, then okay, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean that seems reasonable, right?
yeah, but I would figure that he's going to throw in a few years, of under a whip of one and a lot of strikeout. He's going to vie for the strikeout title. And Dawg, that translates into postseason wins, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you got to strike guys out, especially now. I mean, now everybody strikes out a batter per inning. You got to start getting the guys that get to
Yeah.
11 Ks per nine. I mean, that's like when you get to these to the playoffs here, and then you could offset them by getting the guys who like Kyle Hendricks. You're like, oh, this guy can't break a pane of glass, and even he strikes out like a guy per inning. It's like God, like back then this guy would have struck out like 100 guys in 200 innings. Now he gets Ks. Um, I just think he's a good bet. I think he's a good bet. What about so? There's articles that say the Reds, probably they're out on him. But he's just because he's good. I mean,
Shopping everyone else too.
That's John. That's John Heyman saying, not a shock. Trevor Bauer is too expensive for the Reds, so he will be pitching elsewhere next year. Still, they shouldn't have too many regrets. He got them to the playoffs and pitched a gem when there, and he won the Reds' first Cy Young. Plus, they will get a draft pick, the all-important draft pick, baby. I love those draft picks. I love them. So okay, we are transitioning so well. We don't even need the transition music tonight.
Da-da.
It's it's onto the Luis Castillo sweepstakes
Yeah.
for the Reds now. Is it? I mean, it's easy to find a lot of places where he would fit.
Oh, yeah.
And you said, wow, the Yankees. I mean, like, yeah, everybody fits with the Yankees, right? I mean,
Well, some place where you have a smaller market team as a guy that they're looking to save back money again and bring back prospects. I think that matches up tremendously well for a team like the Yankees, where they can take whatever payroll needs to be, and they have a good farm system at this point too. So I mean, and they have a need for the pitching as well.
with Severino coming back and Herman, like, at what point do you want to just take on these guys and their salaries versus your ability to pay them or not pay them? Like, he's not a free agent until after next season, so the Reds are trying to get him out of there,
Max value, yeah.
right? Like
Hmm.
max value, but they really don't have to get rid of him now, right?
Yep,
Like
yep,
they
it's true.
don't have to. I mean, he's a free agent 2024. He's not arbitration eligible for until 2021, meaning they don't have to pay him till then. So the thing is, I don't know. I just, when you're trying to rebuild, right? The thing I don't get is, why do you want to take the frontline pitcher and use him as the thing that you're gonna as the main chip in your rebuilding, when he's like the hardest chip to get,
Yeah.
and he can't leave till 2024? So you're talking about a playoff team. Okay, they lose Trevor Bauer. He won the Cy Young. It was a 60-game season. Okay, Luis Castillo could win the Cy Young next year, right?
Yeah.
Like he could. It's not crazy. He's been really good. I mean, he's not quite as good as Bauer was, but and last year was actually a little bit of a down year, but he was righting the ship very, very quickly. He was really rolling toward the end. And his career whip is 1.168. And this is his fourth full season. Uh, just well, in terms of like service time, he's up. He had 15 starts in 2017, 31, 32, and then last year 12. He actually had one more start than Bauer did last season, and he's going into his 28-year-old season. So you don't have to pay the guy. I mean, he's gonna, I say you don't have to pay him. Obviously, he's gonna go up a lot in arbitration, but it's not gonna
Not
be.
insane, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even if you have to pay the guy,
5, 6,
well, I mean,
7.
even if you have to pay him 15, like you pay
Oh,
15,
first year arb. That's a little
but
that's a little sexy.
if he wins a Cy Young, I mean,
Eh,
the guy's really good, dog. He's really good.
I get it. I'm just saying, like normally you don't get those big of jumps. The players still want to kind of get in the hose a little bit early on in arbitration. Like it normally takes a little bit for that curve to kind of get up there.
Right, but his comps, if he puts up another good year, his comps are going to be, guys who are making a shit ton of
30.
money.
Yeah.
So, for him to get 15 wouldn't be like, I don't think crazy.
Yeah.
And plus the arbitration numbers always go up, right? I mean, they always
True.
seem to go up.
That's true.
So, my thing is take a run with this guy for I mean, go 3 years with him. Why would you trade him now? Like in 3 years you might be able to turn it around or turn it up with what you got. And you have no chance of doing that without him being there. Then you're restarting the clock. Even if you get a great prospect, right? What's that guy going to be? Like, let's say you get Davy Garcia.
Two
Okay.
great double A guys, right?
Yeah,
Which should be a good thing, right?
If you
Maybe
got-
like a throw in single A.
if you got Davy Garcia from the Yankees, okay, maybe I could start understanding a little bit where you're like, okay, this guy's definitely major league ready. He's 6 or 7 years younger, and you don't have to pay him in arbitration for like 2 more seasons, so you got 2 extra seasons out of that. Why would I do that if I were the Yankees again? Like I just had this guy,
Yeah.
uh, break into the majors at the end of last year. Like why would I do that? Like why wouldn't I just keep the guy that I have and not have to worry about this guy doing that? So I don't know how the trade partners are going to be. I mean, listen, I would definitely pay up for him. It depends what the package is. If you're the Yankees and you don't have to give up Davy Garcia in the deal, then yeah, bring him on. I'll take him in the Bronx. Send them tomorrow. What do I care?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I said I agree. Like I said, I think the Yankees have that farm system where I think they can go and they can put together a package that's going to be compelling. I think it's going to be tough for other teams to kind of match that. And again, I think the Yankees have more of a compelling need for that top end starter. And I think if you get a guy like that, I mean, I think he could be great for a decade in Yankee Stadium. And that's again like that traditionally that's just the kind of guy to me like the Yankees like want to pick it up. And just like you're sitting there like you sit there 3 years from now, it's like Jesus, how in hell did these guys wind up getting this guy from someone else for like 2 or 3 guys you never heard from again, and now this guy's going out and in the Cy Young picture for the next 4 or 5 years. I don't know. That to me that's almost a no-brainer to make that if the Reds want to go there, right? Which you make a very fair point that this is the kind of guy a small market team is supposed to want. This guy who's fairly young, fairly cheap, and overachieving. You're not supposed to get rid of that guy.
Right, or not even like
if you're a small market team.
right, like or not even necessarily overachieving. He's just really good.
Yeah.
And
Well,
and
I guess and better relative value, right? So you
yes,
get much better
absolutely.
performance for the salary aspect. Yeah, that's why Mary overvalued.
100%.
So,
100%. I understand them, look, it's fine to put you guys out there and have people kick the tires on them.
yeah.
I'll be shocked if they get a deal that's going to be anywhere
Yeah.
worth it or make any kind of sense. But again, you have a lot of GMs out there that are influenced by God knows what. And, these deals seem to happen all the time. But it just doesn't make any sense if you're the Reds to get rid of this guy. Like you're just
Yeah.
not. You're almost it's almost impossible for you to win the deal unless the deal is so overwhelmingly good.
Yeah.
Like you could have three prospects in there, and the chance like three really good prospects, and the chances are
Yeah.
not one of them is even going to be approaching how good this guy already is.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to trade Sonny Gray, right? That's a different story,
Yep.
perhaps, right?
But once
Um,
again, I see. I would argue again, Sonny Gray actually makes more sense in that market, right? I agree with Uncle Paul on this one. Like him coming back to like a big marketplace. I don't know. I don't know
well, it
about that
doesn't
one. I think that
he doesn't have to go back to a big marketplace.
yeah, but it's gonna go to Kansas City. I'm like, at some point, it's like, well, then why you bother, right? If you're Cincinnati and just say it worked out well for you, it was a good trade. I mean, it was a good signing bringing him in, but now you're gonna go and like what try and out Reds the Royals. I mean, it's like the same sort of market on there. Like why? I'd be hard to see how like you're going to get the value on the far side of the trade for the Reds if you're not dealing them back to a big marketplace that's willing to overpay for a pitcher. And I said, considering the fact that I think he's going to burn this bridge in New York, I think that would give pause to other teams.
He can go to the Mets.
Oh, no,
he,
no bueno.
he didn't burn that bridge.
No thanks, no thanks. No. I'll take your Tanaka. I don't want any part of Sonny Gray. Tanaka, my number 4. Boom, boom, boom. Give me a 3.5.
Bobby
Pitch.
Pop.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, Sonny Gray. I don't know if I need that drama.
Again, I mean, he's fine for the Reds to hold on to. He makes like
Yeah,
$10 million.
yeah, he makes sense there, and
He
he will. I think he's a good achiever out there in
Yeah,
that sort of
he
market. But
he
yeah,
was seventh in the Cy Young in 2019, and last year he did lead the league in one category in the truncated season. What did
good
he lead?
batsman.
No,
It's like a
good,
risk. It's like a risk favorite. I thought for sure that was
good.
gonna be it.
Right church, wrong pew. Dog is right. Dog has caught the scent. I'm giving you one more shot. I feel
Walks.
like no, come
No,
on.
that's
You were
another Riz
yeah, but
fave.
you were on the right track with the other thing, like the idea of it being not, a main stat. Maybe not a good one.
Wild pitches.
Yes, dog gets it,
I was like,
oh
I was right there. You just tell me keep going the box. That was the next most wild pitch.
baby.
You get me freaked out, but it's like no wild block. I don't know.
Seven
Like
wild pitches.
sack pitches thrown away, or sack bunts thrown away.
Seven wild pitches in 56 innings,
Oh,
matching his total of the previous year in 175 innings. So, yeah.
kid's gotta have a good slider.
Yeah, he's got What's his spin rate? Guy's got a lot of spin rate though.
Yeah, catcher
Yeah.
sucks. That's it. You got McCann now. That's it. Good.
Yeah.
Bring it up.
Yeah,
Bring it up.
bring him in.
Bring it up. Bring it up.
Sonny Gray to the Mets. Here's our show every week.
Uncle Paul would freak if you just like Tanaka. Just say Cohen's first big pitch inside is Sonny Gray. Oh boy. Oh boy. Not
Hey,
good.
Sonny Gray he could help you throw a wild pitch to lose the division
Oh, that's never happened.
this decade.
All for.
Yet.
Oh, I remember I was painting Molly's room with that damn game.
Kenny Rogers, right? It was Kenny
Yes,
Rogers.
it was
Yeah.
Kenny Rogers against the Braves of all people.
Yeah.
The hated Braves.
Dude, those
With
four
Chipper.
pitches weren't even close.
Oh, you know what? You know what was a funny one we were looking at when we were talking earlier in the week about Arenado, which I don't think actually makes a ton of sense to the Mets. We sort of chatted a little bit on the Facebook, whatever. But it was interesting. They laid out like who does Arenado look like? Chipper Jones. Like, Like, no, I know he certainly tortured the Mets for all those years. If I could get him to torture the Phillies or the Nats,
You know that Shea
but
Stadium doesn't exist anymore,
I don't know,
right?
true. But Shea does. Shea Jones
Shea
does.
Jones, yeah, Chipper's kid.
So,
By the way, Sonny Gray,
how about that? Well, how about that one, Riz? How
The
about
Reds would be
if you're
crazy to
if you're
get rid
if
of
you're in
this
a
guy.
if you're in a Mets East, do you go? If I'm not going to get Springer, because okay, like we looked at, maybe 31, a little bit late to get a center fielder. Do you look at an Arenado, Gold Glover at third base, crazy stats, crazy splits, whatever else like that, a lot of stuff to make you freak out about a little bit. But you look at putting your resources to him for a year, pop him at third, traditionally a spot the Mets have been sketchy forever, other than David Wright. Dramatically improve your defense versus J.D. Davis to put him there. Now maybe I live with Nimmo in center, and I can put maybe I put Bradley out there, right? If I sign him, or maybe I just say, you know what, I'm gonna live with Nimmo out there. He's not that good, but I'm gonna play Jimenez at short. I'm gonna play Arenado at third, McNeil at second, and that's gonna be good enough for me to short my defense. McCann behind the plate, big step up from Ramos, and you know what, Nimmo's okay, right? He's not great. Yes, we got a hole there. Did the Mets look at that versus going with Springer instead?
Uh,
Basically, I didn't like Arenado. To me, costs you either Springer or Bauer, but maybe that is an interesting one. If you say Arenado versus Springer, if it's Springer and Bauer, I don't know. I'm going to guess you're not going to like that one. But what's your thought on that one?
it's interesting. But again, I like J.D. Davis,
Yeah,
and I do think that with some of the flexibility that you have with your infielders, specifically McNeil, like McNeil affords you such a luxury by the fact that you play him at second this year, the whole year you just leave him there, set it and forget it,
yep,
and then next year when Cano comes off of his steroid suspension, if he's going to play somewhere, and you still have to play him somewhere, and there's no DH or whatever, and if you have to put him at second, then okay, McNeil goes to third, or maybe Cano goes to third, and you still have Davis, and you're splitting time. Now, if you spend all the rest of that money and asset to get Arenado, then in a year from now, you're creating an issue of I got too many guys. The other thing it does by leaving that, look, with a guy like Davis, I like that you could put that. I like him because you could bat him seventh, maybe even sixth, and let him play every day. I think his defense will improve. He's not going to win a Gold Glove, but I don't think he's I don't think he's a complete horror show over there. And
yep,
I also think he's a winning player. The
sure,
other thing is, if you have another middle infielder that matures or becomes available, whether it's a second baseman or a shortstop, that gives you the flexibility to either let that guy come up and play, for you to make the acquisition of him, and as a result, then you could move McNeil to third or whatever. Like I just like the
yep,
flexibility. I hate hamstringing my team years in advance when I don't have to.
yeah,
Like, and I know people are like, well, how you're hamstringing your team by having Nolan Arenado there? That's like you don't have to worry about that position for literally like the next 7 years. Like, even if he declines, he's still going to be one of the best third basemen in the league. Yeah, but sometimes the flexibility is what really matters here. And again, it's not going to be bad. It just like what do you have to give up to get him?
yeah.
Who does he cost you?
Yeah,
Um,
you probably need to move Cano to dump some money. Versus, I mean, his
he's
contract is brutal,
he's immovable.
right?
You can't move him. No team would be stupid enough to get. Oh well, except for the
Well,
Mets.
I'm saying both. Well, both sides, right? But Arenado's contract is brutal too.
Yeah, but you're getting value out of the player. I mean, like you're not
Yeah,
getting value out of Cano's deal. I mean, hey, is Brody Van Wagenen interviewing for a GM spot anywhere?
it's so hurtful. Hey, stupider things have happened. Look, look at us. Hey, Diaz is coming back. Come on, that's gonna be a good trade.
Okay, so Arenado makes he's got he's got
He's got 7,200 or something like that left. Right? I mean,
it's
he got
two
big numbers.
yeah like 230. Okay, so it was
Oh
an
yeah, that's right.
8-year deal.
That's right. It was 200 after I took the Cano off. That's what it was.
It's an 8-year deal. Uh, average annual value of 32,500,000. And let's see
Ouch.
when he signed it.
Ouch.
His deal includes a full no trade clause, previously avoided arbitration, blah 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. When did he sign it? When did he sign this deal?
I think it's like a year in. I thought he had like 7 and whatever.
February 26, 2019. Okay.
Yeah.
So he played 2 years of it. Unless
1
it
year.
was well,
Wait, no,
if it was,
February 19. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it was
Well, yeah.
was it an
2 years. Yeah.
extension? Nolan, Arenado. I'll just look on Baseball Reference now.
Well, you're thinking about that too. Schmitty wants to know who should be in the Hall who hasn't made it yet.
We're not talking about A-Rod today. Call back in 150 years. I didn't even think about that line, but that's like the perfect
Literally,
line.
folks, as typical, completely unrehearsed.
That was like the perfect line response.
There's no chat going back and forth in between, nothing like that. No.
That was a perfect response. We're not talking about A-Rod today. Call back in 150 years.
Rip and read.
Okay, so he may opt out after the 2021 season.
Which is
Boy, he would be
rare. He's going to. Sure, Nolan.
He would be a dope if
he hits like
that.
450.
Okay, so he did. So all right, so it was 2020 was the first year, or well, unless the first year he made 26 million. So it says he may opt out. Okay, so he'll be 35 in the last year of that deal when he makes 27 million. So he's at 35 million for 21, 22, 23, 24. Then he goes down to 32 million as a 34-year-old in 25 and 27 million in the last year at age 35 in 2026. So it's not the albatrosses of it's not as bad as Cano's contract was. It's
True.
not as bad. It's not. And if you're let's comp him to Manny Machado, who I think is a little bit younger. Manny Machado, very similar contract. It's just that Manny Machado's younger. So Manny Machado is making 32 million every year starting last year, and he makes 32 million every single year, and he's done in 2028 in his 35-year-old season. Those contracts are basically, for all intents and purposes, they're identical.
Yeah.
Except that, Machado's got a long, and Machado has an opt out in 2023. It's the same. It's basically the same contract.
Same contract.
So those guys are on par with each other. They're actually in their similarity scores. They're third on each other's similarity score, like for current guys.
Mm-hmm.
So they're good. I mean, you could argue that those guys are the top 2 third basemen in the league, right? In the game right now. So you're getting. It's just that, do you want to have that value allocated to that position for that amount of years? So when you say Arenado's contract is brutal, I don't. It's not that.
He has someone else who also has a brutal contract. That's a lot for I don't know. That's a lot for a position player, and not up the middle to me.
Yeah.
Who doesn't hit like 60? It's like,
I mean, he's close. Well, but he hits a lot.
Yeah. I mean, he's a great player.
And he wins the Gold Glove every year, just going away.
And I think the corner infield guy, like, he can be a good third baseman for a long time. Like, like that's where you're trying to make the point. Like, a second baseman is not going to have that. But, like, you can be a really good third base. And, like, third base is even more important, like, a first base, right? I mean, a good third base, I said, like a chipper, right? I mean, he was there for a long, long time. I mean, the very end of his career, he was shifting out, but mid 30s or so, you can certainly still be, a top tier third baseman,
Yeah,
and value, and that's a value added defensive spot,
here's the thing.
particularly the right hand loaded team. Yeah,
Here's the thing. I got to look at his career splits right now.
that's scary.
I got to look at his
That's
career
the one that
splits.
freaks you out.
Well, yeah, but some of these guys, it's not as bad as you think, but some it's worse.
I
And
think he's got a pretty big
I'm not talking about his righty lefty splits, which are
home
actually,
away, home
ooh,
away.
actually his righty lefty splits. The guy he's pedestrian against righty. He's human against righties. Against lefties, he's not. Even against lefties, his career OPS is 996. It's not like he's above. It's not like he's Trout. Let's see.
996. That's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. But against righties, it's 852.
No, that's still good, man. Come
It's
on.
still good, but
Especially for a Gold Glover, right? I mean,
that's not 30 million a year though.
yeah, that's fair.
Okay, home away. Oh boy.
And he's in Colorado.
Yeah. Okay. So here are his
So
away splits. His away splits.
that's where you
His
go.
career away OPS is 793. His home OPS is 985. So that's a difference of nearly 200 points. His home batting average.
He's JD Davis with a Gold Glove. Actually, he doesn't hit as well as JD Davis. JD Davis probably has a higher OPS.
His home batting average is 322, road 263. Home on base 376, road 322. Home slugging 609, road 471. That's a big difference. That's a big difference. That's not.
That's why I'm saying Cano back to him.
Yeah. Well, okay, so it gets them out of the term a little earlier, I guess you're saying?
Nope. Just dump Cano out for nothing.
No, I mean dump Cano to the Rock, make the Rockies take him, and then
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Make them eat it. Yeah.
yeah. But
To offset some of the dough.
wow, that's a pretty substantial difference, Dog. I don't know if I want to pay that. What are wait, you know what? How about this?
JD Davis,
Let's see.
OPS 895 at Tough to Hit City Field, 2019. 761 last year.
Well, let's see.
At this point, he's all over the place. So he's 763 OPS, 471, 2018 dumped. Mets pick him up, 895, back down to 761. Career average 795, has never hit that.
Well, basically what you do
So
is
who knows?
you take JD Davis's career batting average, on base, slugging, and OPS, and they're almost identical to Nolan Arenado's road numbers for his career. 260 for Davis, 268 batting average, 346 on base, a little higher actually than Arenado. 448 slugging, a little lower because Arenado was 471. OPS 795. That's what
Spot on.
the same, right?
Yeah.
The same. Now you can't compare them as fielders. It's not a
Night and
fair
day.
it's not a fair comparison. But if you figure, right, and like you said, well, Davis hit better at home last year, like J.D. Davis. Well, let's see. We could do his. Wait, is this for career? Oh, this is career. Okay, career as a home hitter. He's 287. Blah 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 blah. He's definitely been a better guy at home, but he's had different home parks. But his home park has been Citi Field more often than not. Let's see. This is an interesting comparison.
Way more. Yeah, Houston only had like 66 games.
Oh,
He's
okay.
played like 200 for the Mets. Yeah, I mean for the Mets, he's 853 career OPS.
Listen, you want to trade for a guy that you have to pay $35 million a year. You're paying him for his glove, basically. Yeah. I'm telling you, man, J.D. Davis is underrated. He hit last season 247, 371 on base. The year before, in 140 games for the Mets, he hit 307. His on base was 369. Last season, he hit 60 points lower, but his on base was higher. Now his slugging went down, but it's a shortened season. I mean,
Slugging was terrible. Yeah, I mean that's a fair one. I mean that's the problem, right? You don't know what you have with this guy yet.
well,
Jay Davis.
but he's going into his 28-year-old year. He's put up, if he put up anywhere near the season that he put up in 2019 for you, 307, 369, 527, 895. He gets anywhere near that in a full season, he's gold. He's gold for it's gold, Jerry. It's pure gold, Jerry. It's gold, Jerry. He's not arbitration eligible until
the problem
2022, and he's not a free agent until 2025. He's gonna be 32 before he's a free agent.
Problem is he's in the National League and he can't field. Really.
The National League is basically the American League at this point.
I can get Dom Smith playing DH, sure.
I don't care that much. I need bats too. And you know what?
You need a lot of bats.
You could find it.
We need to catch the ball. We need to catch the ball.
You have Ahmed Rosario as a perfect defensive caddy for this guy. That he fits perfectly into that. You have Jimenez at short.
He's actually never like. Actually, no.
He's willing to do it.
Well, I'm sure he is.
He said it.
Lose his job.
Dude, Ahmed Rosario right now said he'll return punts if he needs to for the Mets. He'll do anything right now. He'll play on special teams. So I'm telling you,
we just gotta keep Brandon Nimmo around.
He's your left field caddy. He's your left field caddy.
If nothing else, we gotta keep him around for Mrs. Nimmo.
More on that later.
More on that later.
Okay, so let's see. We checked all the
Nimmo.
boxes so far, Dawg.
Nimmo hit 888 last year. Why am I so down on this guy? Guy hit OPS at 888.
It's a lot of walks,
Center.
which I don't mind.
He does. Slugs 484. Why can't I find a spot for this guy? See, I got to sit this guy down. This is the problem. This is the downside on the spring one, right? I mean, this is where it hurts with the Mets. Like if you have the DH, this is a no-brainer. The Nimmo plays left, Springer goes to center, and you got Dom Smith, first base, DH, whatever, and Alonso the other. But like you put Springer in. Actually, I mean you got Nimmo, who's not as good a hitter, but he's a pretty damn good hitter. That's tough. That's like one that he's got too much value to be that defensive replacement and fourth outfielder.
Well, it's because of the on-base percentage. That's what it is. I mean, he's a career 390 on-base guy, and now it's a 365 game sample. I mean, he's had 1,068 major league at bats and 1,300 plate apperances. He walks a lot.
838 slugging. Get a little speed. Can play some defense. Not great in center, but he's a valuable dude.
I know he does. He does a lot well. And again, he's another one of these guys.
Gives you flexibility.
He's
your guy you always talk about, right? Flexibility guy.
And he's to me, he's a winning player. I mean, Nimmo, J.D. Davis. I feel like these guys are winning players. They're team players. They'll do anything that you ask them to do, and that is
run down the first on a walk. Hell yeah.
I mean, you don't even have to ask him to do that.
That guy's gonna take second one time in his career. Like someone's gonna stop paying attention. The guy's got second base on a walk.
One of my softballers did that this year. They weren't paying attention. She went right around. I was like under my breath. I'm like, go. Yeah.
There you go.
That was exciting. That was the highlight.
She was a diehard.
That was the highlight of 2020. She's a good kid. I had so many good kids on that. What a great bunch of kids. They were so happy. I don't know, it's just such a privilege, as you know, to be able to coach kids, but especially this year where, my boys kind of got robbed of, possibly their last year of playing rec baseball. They might be able to play if they have it this year. Um, but my daughter was able to get softball in, and right now hockey is like sort of scuttled. They're
Yeah.
able to get like these sort of practices and clinics, and they have a great group of girls there. But you know, it's not the same. Like they're not going to tournaments, they're not going on road trips. And but softball was great. I mean, I was out there with the stupid mask on. It's like 100 degrees, and these girls were just so good. And I'm like, I don't know. Like the dads, we would talk to each other. We're like, I don't know. Like, who's having a better time? Like, is it the girls or is it us? Like, we're just glad that we're like out of the house. Everybody's working from home. We're having practices at like, Mondays.
4:30.
Mondays at no, at like 9 in the morning. But it's like, hey, you got any calls? Like, no. Okay,
Yeah, come on out.
we're just gonna do practice at like 9 in the morning before it gets to be 100 degrees. Is great. And yeah. Anyway, but that's the draw. Being out on the diamond. You got to be a diehard, right, dog? Got to be a
That's
diehard.
true. Got to be done.
Got to be a
All right,
diehard.
we got anyone else to finish off Schmitty's thing other than A-Rod?
No.
We do the Munson Donnie.
That's a whole.
Donnie baseball.
That's a
kicking in this.
preparation. That's a preparation show.
A couple teasers. We could throw a couple teasers on there.
Pete Rose. Have you heard of him? There. Pete Rose belongs in the Hall of Fame. He's not in. Okay, that's a whole. We just did a whole episode.
There you go.
How about that? How about that? Joe Jackson,
A-Rod.
shoeless Joe. He doesn't have shoes, and he's not in the Hall of Fame. Can't walk in the Hall of Fame with no shoes, Mikey. Can't do it. Yeah, there's I don't know. Harold Baines. Does he? Oh wait, he is in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
It's for that big homer off of Miguel Jimenez. That still hasn't landed.
Quality.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Struck
Okay.
out Big Daddy though.
Yeah, I know.
I told him he should have grooved it for Big Daddy's 3000th.
I know. He was smart. He was
Then
throwing a
Trevor's like-
shutout in that game, and Eck blew a save.
He was on.
Eck blew the save for Miguel Jimenez. He would have beaten the Twins
What would
in the
Crosby
game
have
where.
said?
Yeah, it's bullshit. Try not to curse. What we didn't talk about was the Stratomatic fielding ratings came out
Oh, we gotta save it though. We gotta make that a whole thing. A
tomorrow.
little teaser. What
What are you doing tomorrow? I don't know.
I don't know. You got some Woodford?
I got a little surprise. He doesn't know it yet, but the next episode is our 50th episode, I think. That's what I'm counting. So you can't have episode 50 without Jerry Malati,
Oh, there you go.
right?
Nice.
I was looking at it tonight. I'm like, oh man, is this the 50th? I'm like, we gotta have
Get the Hawaiian
Jerry
shirt on.
on for the. Oh yeah, I got
Hawaiian shirts.
Wait, write that down.
We don't talk about it. Don't talk about it. Just wear it.
Wait, I gotta write
Yeah,
that down.
we get like the Hawaiian background or something like that. Get there.
Oh yeah.
We get like the wave breaking. That's what we need. We need like the wave breaking. Give me a little point break. Just for Gallagher.
Yeah, Jack Lord. Good Jack Lord. Good Jack Lord.
Yeah, no.
Those are
All right,
macadamia.
we've lost everybody on the show here.
That's
A
not
little inside baseball here, Susan.
That's not Jack Lord. That's a bottle of macadamia nuts. Good Jack Lord. Good Jack Lord. Okay, all the 5-0 jokes. All the 5-0 jokes are in
Schmitty,
there.
I tried to answer your question.
Yeah, we got it in there. We got it in there for you, Schmitty.
So,
I think we did okay. Okay. How do I wrap it up here? I take my handy dandy notebook.
I go on mute. I finish my bourbon.
I don't know if you have to go on mute. You could hang in there. We got to remind
I'm
you.
lying. I finished the bourbon long ago.
Got to remind you about FMS Graphics. It was up until probably a few days ago the perfect time to order your holiday cards. Why not take a few minutes to visit FMSgraphics.com? Ordering is easy and you receive your order in a few days. FMSgraphics.com is the place to visit for all of your printing and promotional product needs, not just around the holidays as we transition back and the vaccine gets more prevalent. And as Dawg said, each month will be rapidly better than the next. I trust the dog. That will be you getting back into your business, and your printing and promotional needs will be taken care of by fmsgraphics.com. To watch us, if you're watching us, we very much appreciate that.
We dressed up for you.
Yeah, I didn't go crazy today. No jacket today.
No jacket.
My fashion
Got my Metsies on.
my fashion consultant didn't show up, but I combed my hair and I went vest. I went vest with short sleeves. So if you watch us, facebook.com/Diamond Diehards. That's the Facebook page. We also have a Facebook group, and we'd like you to join both. At Diamond Diehards on Twitter, Instagram, Periscope, and Twitch. All available for live stream except Instagram. I don't think we live stream on there because Restream.io I don't think has an Instagram thing. But if they do, then we'll eventually stream on there. We also stream on YouTube, so follow. You got to look for us there. And if YouTube's your thing, go there and check us out. And we also have a LinkedIn page. So if you want to do business or not, or if you just want to, like, while you're doing your work stuff and you're able to be on LinkedIn, you can peruse and secretly watch or listen to the videos on there as well. And if you want to do business, please contact us.
IT doesn't check that stuff.
No, they don't care. Well,
You're on LinkedIn.
I'm an IT guy, so or at least
you're good.
I know how to talk to them.
YouTube, you're gonna pop hot. LinkedIn,
Yeah.
You're good.
LinkedIn, you're easy peasy. If you follow Joe Rogan and Bill Simmons to Spotify, guess what? We're there. So find Diamond Diehards on there. If you didn't and you like iTunes, we're on iTunes. So subscribe to us on iTunes. And if you use Stitcher, then we're there. We're on the Google thing and TalkShoe and every other place where you find your podcasts, your audio ones. So this same video, if you're watching the video, will also be the same as the audio. We don't usually do much editing there. Maybe just make it a little easier to listen to for you. And I think that's it. I think we covered everything. Follow the dog on Twitter at Jeff Healy 8. That's the number 8. And if you want to follow me, I am on Twitter at Rear Naked Choke, all one word. And I have another podcast about mixed martial arts called Rear Naked Choke Radio, which on Twitter is at RNC Radio. And if you want to check out my Instagram as well, it's at Joe Rizzo MMA on there. Okay, I think that I got all that stuff out of the way. For the dog, Jeff Healy, this is Joe Rizzo. Diamond Diehards is out.